Well, still got a little practicing to go to get these elements working right. Uh, Self analysis. This comes from a video. Uh, hey there. I do feel good today. I feel all right today. Well, got some sleep issue to work out before tomorrow. I have an appointment at 10, but I feel pretty all right. Okay. Um, well, let's see here. It looks like the beginning of the clip. And let me make sure I've got audio. Zenu, Zenu. We're about to have band practice here. So my best guess for this time-wise is probably 2016. Maybe 2017, but probably more like mid 2016. I had my initial surgery, I believe. It's all such a kind of tangled up mess timeline wise. I do a lot of timelines in therapy to try to figure out, what happened when, because so much happened in such a short period of time. But it's best guess. The time period is around 2016. And yeah, let's go. Still don't know how to flip the fucking camera around. Here's my rig. This is an old 70s electric piano that there we go. There we go. That thing. That's a Yamaha CP30. It was a wannabe competitor for the Fender Rhodes. Someone had it and was just like gonna trash it, so I picked it up. Is from the 70s. It sounds amazing, but it's broken. Had a pretty big revelation today. Welcome to Wog World. Someone liked that intro, so I'll give it to you again. This time with feeling. So my old intro used to be this same one that I've got now, except I've rebranded it to In Theta. And in the background you would hear these whispers. You want to live in the Wog World? Is that where you want to be? Is that where you want to be? The Wog World? And this is something that would be, if you're on the fringe of leaving Scientology, this is a scare tactic that they use because, remember, it's a racial term and it's used in Scientology to separate similar to race because they believe in homo novus, which means new man, and homo sap is how Hubbard refers to people outside of Scientology, otherwise known as wogs. So there is a serious, the reason that word is still used and people still say it, not everyone says it. People have been corrected. I've been corrected. I changed my whole YouTube channel about that. But it's important to know that homo novus, homo sap, when you leave, you are joining the world of homo saps, homo sapiens, and you are cutting yourself off from your spirit, your soul, spiritual freedom, and it's a very derogatory term in both worlds. Oh, post-it notes. I have broken dishes. I have a big whiteboard in the hallway, and that serves the same purpose. Uh, One of my mentors in the music business, who achieved a lot in his short life, um, the he really pounded into my head, represent your information, represent all of the information, because if you can get it out of your head and onto something, then you can start to make sense out of it. And you know, you got the classic crazy person with the yarn and the stuff attached to everything, but there really is usefulness to that. I mean, detectives do it for a reason. um, why do I wear that keep smiling button on your jacket? Is there something special to it? At that time, yeah, that was a constant reminder for me to, yeah, okay. So, not even a minute into the video, and there's so much to unpack. The, um, this is fresh at that time. I'm not, I hadn't seen my kids for 2 years, and they were babies, 1 and 3 years old. And my daughter and I were very close. I, if any of you have kids, you know that daycare, you might as well quit your job, because you'll spend as much. Why let someone else raise your kids and work a job when you could just stay at home, and it's basically the same thing. So I stopped gigging and I stayed at home with the kids. So I was at home with the kids, primarily with Stone and Stella. And when my ex-wife left, I can't even begin to express the despair, depression, anger that I felt. So I put that. That was a little card that my boss gave me at the time. I think I was still working for Webtronics at the time, and I always had a lanyard tag, because everywhere I would go, I'd have to have some sort of a identification. So that makes sense. 2016. And it was just a reminder, keep smiling, not necessarily literally smiling, but to just push through. It was a reminder to myself, sort of like a totem, that I can survive. Great question, long answer. Here we go. Welcome to Hog World, where you can watch videos about some fucked up cult and watch me play music and video games like I was a Scientologist. Anyways, if you can't tell, I am kind of a goofy guy sometimes. I'm a joker and degrader, or a merrymaker, whatever you want to call it. Anytime I have an instrument in front of me, that's and I'm feeling it. Yeah, I feel happy. Turn this thing off. There we go. Okay. All joking aside, I got a couple of things to say. One is I've got an appointment with the neurologist February 8th to see about all this constant pain and stuff with my legs and hips, and the whole walking thing. See if I can continue to do that without causing myself lots of problems.
And if not, if there's any kind of surgery that can be done, I may have to have an orchectomy. Look it up on Google. I don't want to bring it up. Oh, why the hell not? It's when they remove a nut. They remove a testicle. We're all adults here. We can be mature about, they said nuts. Welcome to Wog World. So my big revelation.
Something to point out, because if I'm reviewing these old videos, there was a time when no one was, getting upset about the use of the word wog because of the cultural connotation in perspective with Scientology. So going forward, looking at old videos, I'm going to say that a lot. So if it's offensive, unsubscribe, ban me, cancel me, whatever. But the truth is that is a very important term in Scientology. It's used frequently. It was part of, the lexicon, still is, and it's an important distinction because it really is a racial term. That's how extreme they are, just like a racist. So, to play that down and to use another word, to me, seems disingenuous and not fully representative of the hatred that people have for anyone who leaves Scientology.
What was it that helped me to I get these comments like in private messages.
Is the audio clear enough for you to hear what I'm saying? Because I can turn it up more.
How were you able to escape? What was it that allowed you to break free and all that stuff? Just caveat emptor, and also you can walk out at any fucking time. It's a thing in your head.
There's a line to a song that I haven't recorded yet called Reconsider, and I wrote it when I was at the Ventura mission not long after I arrived. And the line is, freedom is just a step outside, but we locked the door before we arrived. And I feel like that's a decent enough metaphor for many people who are stuck in not just destructive cultures, but domestic violence, the paralysis, fear paralysis. Yes, you can walk out at any time, but there are consequences for that, and you don't know what they are, and they could be anywhere from mildly severe to extremely severe. So you try to, I tried always to work it out in my head to sort of correct what I was thinking in order to be in line with the tech or Scientology or my own personal integrity.
Just as easy as a Mormon could walk off, or an Indian could walk off a reservation, so to speak. I should say Native American, but...
See, when I say Indian, that seems more offensive to me than Wog, but, 6 one way, half dozen another to, people's perspectives.
My big revelation was that when I disconnected from the Church of Scientology, it was not because of the teachings of Scientology, it was because of Ron.
So, as I was reviewing this earlier before I decided to do this broadcast, I remembered from watching it the look on my face. Oh, man. I really did. I had a problem with Ron. I had a problem with the legacy Ron left.
I looked
and I'll explain more here.
at Ron and I was like, Ron, your church is fucked. Like, I can dig what you're saying some of the time. But your church is fucked. COB is fucked.
COB, chairman of the board, David Miscavige. So, here I'm saying, look, so much I agree with in Scientology, but Ron, the legacy and what's left behind is not what you had when you were here. It's uncontrollable. It's not tenable, um, and it's grossly corrupt. Hey Chad, how's it going, buddy?
The orgs are fucked. They're reprinting your materials every year and changing it. It's fucked.
This was a big upset. They call it in Scientology an upset or a ARC break. And I had a huge one because, towards the end of my time on staff, I was reposted as additionally posted as the bookstore officer. And they were reprinting the books. I was selling books a year prior that weren't even the same texts. Now, there were minor changes, uh, but to me, as a Scientologist, that was what they called alter is, which means changing Ron's words, which is big no-no.
That was the person that it wasn't Jesus, it wasn't Muhammad, it wasn't Buddha, it wasn't anybody. Except L. Ron Hubbard. So,
I gotta point something out here because last night I watched some of Zero Dark Tony's broadcast about the toxic twins of Scientology. Um, oh, my children are not in the cult at all that I'm aware of. Um, they're not in Scientology. They're very safe from it. My ex-wife did a comm course. Um, there's no way for me to make any connections as to like how the divorce went, but it was very quickly after I watched Going Clear and started to change because one changes whenever your entire belief system is uprooted, and that wasn't the person she married. That wasn't the person that she wanted. The person that was changing, which was me. And it wasn't long after she left with the kids, and they call it secreting away now. And they were 1 and 3, and I see them. My mother and I manage the access arrangements. But I think I said in a previous video that her judgment was pretty severe um, because of the allegations that she put against me, and it would not be something unlike a fair game procedure because they call it the it's a I was told it was a common practice in sort of ruthless attorneys playbook called the nuclear option. And the nuclear option is when you allege everything that you possibly can against someone. And I can't say that it was fair game, but it had the same effect as fair game. I can say that she, was talking to Dominic, who's now the ED at Baton Rouge Mission, because whenever Dominic would call to try to do recovery cycles, he would not just talk to me, he would also talk to her. So who knows what was said uh, in those conversations and what became of it. Dominic is a very intelligent and skilled Scientologist. So, I try not to think about that too much because there's nothing I can do about it anyway. But it was and is still a very painful thing that I deal with every single day. Uh, every day when I would go home from 2015 to 2017, or let's say 2015, 2016, when I was trying to recover financially because it had completely destroyed me. Um, that I would literally fall down on my knees every day and cry at my front door. And there are stains on the carpet from my tears because every day I wanted to come home to my children. And I wanted to cuddle with my children, and I wanted to watch movies with my children, play with my children, especially my son, because when they left, he was a year old. There's a bonding period that happens, a very, very serious thing, uh, and that was just, you know, it's not a thing. Even to this day, I still work to rebuild that, or to try to. There's no replacing it. Is the thing is when you're a baby, there's this intimate bond of trust, and you know, as Stone has gotten older, you know, there have been times where, you know, he kind of looks at me like, you know, you're a dude, you're a guy, and I know you're my dad, but there's this a different feeling when Stella looks at me, and when how Stella and I interact, and the trust and all that stuff. So um, that question came from Troy Snuffles. Uh, I do see my children, and they are not in the cult. Yeah, I was very stressed out for a very long time, and the doctor said that that was a high contributing factor to the cancer that I developed. And I would not be surprised if it's a contributing factor to Mike's uh, cancer as well. I've been in contact with Mike, and sort of like, you know, because I've been through cancer treatments and years of medical crap. Um, the my advice to him is learn to say no more and give yourself more, like way more time to rest and heal than what you think is necessary. It's actually very difficult to do, um, to just sit around and heal. Um, Hello there, Makadokacha legal. I don't know how to say that. Um, yeah. Femme Morte doesn't think she would have wanted to spend money on courses, and that's probably true because she didn't have much money.
Whatever that's worth. There's a website called Friends of Ron. All right, and they're dedicated to keeping the. My hands are shaking. Cold. Very cold here today. There's a website called Friends of Ron, and it's dedicated to keeping the tech pure. In other words, no altering, no reprinting. Ron said what he said, and he meant what he meant. That was the initial frickin' cognition or realization that the church was fucked up. It didn't come from, it really didn't come from even reading the OT materials, because like my brother said, you know, I continued to want to be OT, and so did he. You just agree to disagree that it's a
That part's true, Travis. You know, he paid us FLD with the hopes that he could get back on the bridge at some point.
group agreement kind of thing with the Xenu story. Like, we don't know what's there until we've been there, all right? And Paul Haggis, you know, said pretty much the same thing on Going Clear. And so, because he knew about space opera, you don't get into Scientology and shit for that long and not have some exposure to past lives and space trauma and whole track memory. Which I'd like to do some videos on now. I think I'm ready to do that. Auditing and whole track memory and space opera and all that shit. Because apparently I built this giant prison in space a long time ago. I wrote a fucking whole song about it. It's very long and it's a pretty good composition. I'll let you hear it sometime. But it's inspired by fucking Scientology. But it's not unlike Chick Corea's To the Stars. In fact, I wrote it around the same time. So my big realization was that
I can't believe I just compared my composition to something Chick Corea wrote. I would never do something like that these days. It's funny though.
the person who got me out of that mode of thinking was not looking for some other belief system. It was Hubbard himself. And then when I found out later, and I processed it later, that everything he did and said was just some other uh, hacked up version of, or was a hacked up version of someone else's wisdom, like Lao Tzu, The Art of War, or I'm sorry, Sun Tzu, The Art of War, Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, and teachings from the Kabbalah and like all kind of shit, Satanism, Christianity. He took values and studies from everything, including psychology, psychoanalysis, psychodynamic approaches to solving problems. Um, Very, very psychodynamic auditing is what I mean. They use psychodynamic processes or whatever, involving the ego and the superego and the id. And so, anyways, the cognition or realization that I had was that it was Ron himself that helped me get out. And Alex Merrick's and I have had this conversation before. The guy that we read for so much money and was a baseball player for the Twins. Uh, he said something, I'm going to be paraphrasing, but he said something like, LRH was a clever guy, and had he not went crazy with the space opera shit and the science fiction shit, like he had some workable ideas. Of course he took a bunch of different ideas and put them into one mass of ideas called Scientology. And some of those ideas are useful. They're clearly useful if people still get involved, and I'm not trying to say that Scientology is good.
So I'm going to stop right here and just, over the years, 7, 8 years, talking about EMDR. I've had multiple therapists, want to do EMDR therapy, and I've picked it apart with them, gone over their materials, read their processes, and there are some really striking, downright exact duplication of some of the processes in Scientology. Um, However, there's a lot of safeguards and safety mechanisms in place. EMDR generally doesn't last as long as sessions, but auditing sessions can last anywhere from 2 to 12 hours. Um, that was a big part of me getting any kind of progress made, like making any progress in therapy, was I was so used to spending that much time and taking that much time to fully explore whatever idea, concept, trauma, experience, and it seemed like therapists just were not equipped to handle that. EMDR, um, I'm still, uh, I am still talking to my therapist about it and its similarities to Scientology, because I don't want to go into a session and trigger something. And in Scientology, they call that restimulation. But for example, one of the things in EMDR that you do is you start with a recent trauma, and then you go back to another time that had a similar trauma, and then you go back further and further and further until you reach, I don't know the term in EMDR right off the top of my head, but as soon as she started explaining this, I'm thinking, wow, This is incredibly similar to what they call in Scientology uh, engrams, locks, secondaries, basics, and basic basics. So to break that down simply, you have a traumatic memory here in like near present time, and it includes information, encoded information in your body and in your your brain, uh, containing emotional trauma and potential solutions or reactive behaviors. Hey Tish, Zenu Zenu, um, that can be re-stimulated. In other words, some of the videos that Dynetics shows about, someone getting hit over the head in an ambulance, and someone says, you know, I'm not really interested in my wife anymore, and that goes into his subconscious as part of the trauma. Well, then he decides, I'm just not into my wife anymore. Um, and that's attributed and credited as a subconscious command that was given by just a EMT who didn't know. And this is why during birth, uh, Scientologists are encouraged to not speak and tell the doctors to not speak. Of course, you can't get doctors and nurses to not speak, but you know, uh, if you have some sort of religious practice, most doctors will, they might look at you funny, but they'll try to accommodate you per your religious belief as much as possible.
Not at fucking all. So I'm really careful to say that, or I'm really paranoid to say that, because people think that if I say Scientology, anything in Scientology is useful, then I'm still indoctrinated, or I still believe in Scientology, or I'm still a Scientologist, really. That's not the case, because everything that he did or said came from somewhere else.
This is helpful for me to review because I didn't 100% know that at the time. I was still a little paranoid, as I said, that, not just other people would think that I'm indoctrinated, which at this point, who cares what other people think? But even my own self, I was thinking, is there anything to any of this? And in some cases, yes, there's a lot to it. In some cases, there were things that were uh, markedly ahead of the science and the psychology of the time. But something to consider about that is that there, as a religion, there are no regulations. There is no guidelines on how you can obtain this information, which is usually through scientific uh, method. And even though Hubbard did not employ that, he still was able to find some things that are verifiable, especially as I'm learning about EMDR.
So when I sought out the wisdom of Sun Tzu and Lao Tzu and Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and all this other stuff, like, it's all the same stuff. Except Hubbard just put it in different terms, and then also added these like maxims or factors that go along with his whole stage hypnosis shtick, and made a fucking religion out of it. It's just kind of that simple. So that was my big realization for today. Yeah, it was L. Ron Hubbard who basically helped me out of Scientology.
And this is whoa to some people. But, I studied my program from the DSA at Celebrity Center, which is the Director of Special Affairs at Celebrity Center. International was one of these programs that was meant to just like go away, keep busy. You know, they did a bunch of sec checking. They've got a bunch of crap that they're holding over my head that, you know, is meant to scare me and intimidate me into not speaking about it, my experience at all ever. And I got halfway through it, and there was probably 40 or 50 sets of lectures, and I got through half of that. And in a lot of these uh, lectures, he jokes about, you know, how he's trapping you and how you can trap people, and every now and then in this very maniacal, twisted, trickster kind of way, he tells you at sometimes, you know, well, I've left you the way out, so you'll just have to find it. So in a way, you know, I can't honestly say that I don't feel like he left just a tiny, tiny, tiny little crack in the door that you can use his own shit to debunk all of his indoctrination practices and everything. So yeah, it's kind of weird to say, but the poison was the cure.
And then after that, it was like, oh, L. Ron Hubbard is just some guy who put a bunch of knowledge together and called it a religion and made a shitload of money, and his successor continues to rake it in. It's a very profitable religion, and even some of the mission holders, the mission networks, are very profitable. And then some of the offshoot scientists.
I learned later that, like, you know, a lot of the missions aren't profitable. And, you know, the mission network that I was part of, what usually was, and some of the monies to keep it running didn't always come from services sold, but came from, how would I say it, businesses in the orbit around Scientology that weren't necessarily doing things illegally, but were using the law to get an asymmetrical advantage over some aspect of commerce.
Scientology businesses from those missions are very profitable. So he just took a bunch of belief systems and chunked them all together and put some hypnosis in it and some, you know, psychodynamic theories mixed with religion. It's a psychological cocktail, essentially. And it works really well on people who are looking for answers of some type.
I would correct myself now and say that it's like a gumbo. There's something from every culture, something from every belief system that someone can latch onto, and I feel like it wasn't something that he just cobbled together. I feel like he did put a lot of energy and effort into making sure that it was an all-encompassing belief system. But in the process of that, you will have, I found, many contradictions, which is what causes a lot of the cognitive dissonance over time, for me anyways.
Because there are certain things you can do that will get absolute results every time. So that's not to say that they're good or bad or effective results. There's just results. So someone who has a lot of instability in their life already, or has had a lot of instability in their life, it gives them something to do. Like objective processing will have a result. Whatever the result is, who knows? Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it's bad. In the end, it's all mindfuckery. But there are results to be had. So,
And the real key to the results and getting people up the bridge and staying in Scientology is how you read the people that are coming in, find their ruin, find what it is that they want to handle, and apply the correct. It's like that KSW stuff, applying the correct technology. However, as I also stated before, none of this was peer reviewed, none of this not regulated, and so the results could vary. You could give someone an action that you would think, or put someone on an action or a service that you would think would handle or address the thing that they're looking for, and completely spin them out of their head, and they may blow, which means leave.
Someone who's so unstable, and it could be just one aspect of your life being unstable. It doesn't have to be your entire life. So that's the whole concept. I'm covering kind of a lot in talking about it lightly, but there's a whole process by which you get someone into Scientology. So you find their ruin. And Jason Rutland and Monica Galler were really good at finding ruins. Travis said that I was really good at getting people in. That's true, but I couldn't find their ruins. There were very few people who I found ruins on. I just wasn't very good at it. And but Jason and Monica were amazing at it.
Finding a ruin is a whole pseudoscience mystical thing that I never really got good at. I think because I wasn't very comfortable. Some of it requires like implanting things or making heavy assertions about someone's life through an OCA evaluative test, which the person may or may not have been truthful about. And also, the validity of the OCA test itself is, highly questionable.
And I was a good person to bring to them because me and Jason and Monica had really strong communication, and it reinforced the person, whoever I brought in, or whoever Travis brought in, or whoever Dominic brought in, or whoever brought in. It reinforced their trust in what was going on, because for whatever reason, I drew people in. So, notice this. Keep smiling. I don't know if it'll come up the right way or sideways, but it says keep smiling. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I feel almost done with this health crap. So we'll find out.
Oh God, that's hilarious. Hello, me. Meet the real me. Uh, yeah, I was nowhere near done.
February 8th. Maybe February 8th we'll find out. I'll find out something about my current state of health, and if I need another surgery or not. In the meantime, I have band practice today, first time in the new year. Very excited about that. I'm going to see if the guys will be willing to make a video and I can introduce them. And maybe upload some clips of us playing. And I've got to write some stuff down right now, some chord sheets and whatnot. But wanted to share that revelation and what that led to. So today, I'm like, I can believe whatever the fuck I want. I can believe whatever I want.
That was a huge win for me, to use a Scientology term, that I can believe whatever I want. When I got to that sort of like plateau, it was like I could see, I can see clearly now. Absolutely, Roxy. He did. He totally did.
If I,
But you know what? On that note, that's what many successful gurus do. It's what a lot of Zen uh, Buddhists do. It's what a lot of Buddhist sects do. Um, it could be arguable to what degree of destruction it could cause, but at my first Scientology seminar in 2015, there were people representing at least 4 different religions. Um, okay, I believe you have a very nice butt. Okay, okay. Thanks for the distraction. Um, hmm, uh, great elegance seems awkward. Dao De Ching. Yeah, okay, well, thought derailed. Continuing.
I want to believe in Jesus. I can believe in Jesus. Whatever. If I want to believe in Buddha, where's my Buddha? I don't know where my Buddha is. But if I want to believe in Buddha, I can believe in Buddha. It's the ideas. You know? I'll have to pull out my psychology book because in the first semester last year, or I'm sorry, the last semester last year, there is a portion of the textbook that talks about belief and its effect on someone's happiness. Now, it doesn't necessarily state what the belief is. You could believe in whatever. But they did a study, and there were people who, whatever they believed, as long as they believed in something, they were actually happier than the control group.
This was a peer-reviewed study.
Like on average, they were more upbeat. They were more willing to experience life and less willing to experience the negative aspects of life. Like if they were encountered with negative stimulus, they, instead of giving back negative stimulus, they give back positive stimulus. So if that's what belief does, then fucking A, you know? Believe whatever the hell you want. That's the big realization that came from the idea that Ron Hubbard was the one who helped me realize that your church is full of shit, bro. And so were you. So he was kind of my savior, but he was kind of like Satan and the devil all at once. He was like the guy, the little devil on your shoulder and the angel on your shoulder. That's what Scientology kind of like is. It's like cognitive dissonance.
I say that's what it is, but that's how obviously, no one can know another's thoughts. No one can know another's experience. Really, deep down, I truly believe that I can't know anything really other than I really, yeah. Sometimes most of the time, I feel like I can't even know thyself, and but to endeavor to do so is the thing. But my experience was, as I'm describing, a part savior, part, you know, what's the opposite of a savior? I don't know. I don't want to use a cheap word.
Cognitive dissonance. Welcome to Wild World, where there is not much cognitive dissonance unless you create it yourself. Believe what the hell you want to believe. Believe what the hell you want to believe. Do what you want to do. Yeah, band should be here any minute, so I'm going to cut this, and I'll put this under creative processing or I'll put the band footage under creative processing, because we're going to be working on some tunes, and yeah, if you want to check them out, then check them out. Don't have a name for the band yet, but figured I'd share that with you, and then some of the band practice. So, catch you guys later. Peace. Zenu Zenu. Onomatopoeia.
Alright, so that's that. Now we get to the music part of the deal, and I queued up. What did I queue up? The lines. So this isn't my song, but co-written with two friends of mine, Bo Guidry and oh my God, I can't believe I'm spacing on his name. He was the primary writer, but it's a beautiful song. I inquired about possibly recording this song in the studio, and he said, "Yeah, thumbs up, go for it." Garrett is his name, and what's his last name? I really want to give him credit for this because this is such an amazing song. Garrett. No, Gerr. Maybe it's Garr. No results found. Okay. Well, this is a song called The Lines. And let me make sure the volume is up. Okay. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you found this somewhat useful. But similarly, as I did before years ago doing these videos, I am doing these. You're the beneficiary of it, but really, I am doing these for myself. It's totally selfish. I don't have any yeah. I'm doing it for my own damn work it out in my head. It was part of why I was recording these because I was going through so much. I had to document it, and I document and archive so much music. I was like, you know what? There's so much going on in my life right now. I might as well document this so that I can review it later because there was no way in hell I was going to process that in, you know, in due time. So here we go. The Lines by Bo G's Band of Ogen from 2014.
Brother says it's safe for here. Gonna miss a holiday this year. Of all the fights I've had, enough. Of all the debts I've paid, enough. So long waiting, hear you saying so many things you say you don't really mean. You say that it's all for a reason, the lies are in between. The lines, the lines, the lines. Couldn't of all the debts I've had to pay enough, of all the lies I've heard enough. So long waiting, hear you saying so many things you want, you don't really need. Say that it's all for a reason, the lies are in between. The lies, the lies, the lies.
Short and sweet, beautiful song. OG's Band of Ocean hasn't been recorded. Edited the words a little bit, but c'est toi. Zinu Zinu.